Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crimes, Killers, Cults,
And beer.
and Beer. um, just a crazy Florida man and a crazy Florida woman drinking beer. Well, one of which drinking beer, the other not. Talking about true crime. Okay. I'm gonna have to come up with another lead-in catchphrase. And damn, I didn't do this on the Swango episode, and I forgot to do it at the start of this one. So I'm better late than never.
Guess so.
There we go. So yeah, gotta have the blue and red lights. So just had to do that. But I had it sitting right next to me too. Not for the Swango episode, but for this one, it was sitting right next to me, like literally an inch away from my hand, and I still forgot to do it. So, but
our first episode had to have a few little things
first
about
episode,
it.
first episode was fine. Somebody tried to make this episode not happen. When Dixie.
It was the chicken.
Yeah, my lunch did not agree with me, and that's all I'm going to say on that. Our listeners don't need to hear about it.
I can imagine.
I'm just glad it happened before we started recording the episode.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah. So, but before we get started, I went on a YouTube rabbit hole last night.
Oh boy.
For some reason, I don't know how this popped up. It just popped up in my list. It was this YouTuber. His name was, what was his name? I wrote it down. Curtis Connor. That's Curtis with a K. And he does like all these weird, funny movie reviews and stuff like that. And I'm just giving a shout out here because I sat there and I watched his content for like 2 hours, maybe even longer than that. And, and I found out he's actually a stand-up comedian, so that explains why his content is so funny. But yeah, Curtis Connor, there's a plug for you there, Curtis. You're welcome.
Nice.
But I definitely recommend that. I mean, the episode that caught my attention was this episode about there was this Christian movie. You know how all those Christian movies are so unbearably horrible that bad acting, bad story. It's just that they're garbage. They're worse than Lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
They're worse than Lifetime movies. But I mean, they make a Lifetime movie look like The Godfather. but this one was this one was like
a lifetime Godfather. I'm trying to think about like what offer. I'm gonna give you an offer that you can't refuse. Like, what are you gonna do?
Well, heaven or hell. There's an offer you can't refuse. but this one was like a ripoff of Saw, the first Saw movie.
Nice.
And the killer, he wasn't a killer because he didn't actually kill anybody, but this guy, his name was the Reconciler. So what he would do is he would lock these people, who he knew that they had this, these issues between them, and lock them in a room. And there's even the freaking tape recorder with the same distorted voice and all that stuff. It's just a blatant ripoff. It's like, as soon as you two work out your differences, you will be released. It's just so bad.
Play pat a cake.
It's totally a knockoff of Saw. I mean, I started watching that. I couldn't stop. I just kept watching his content. I mean, like 2-3 hours worth. I couldn't stop watching it.
Bad movies. Like if you ever want to watch just some really bad movies, I know Velocipaster is.
I've seen that movie. I've seen that movie come up on Amazon. I haven't watched it.
I mean, I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful cinematic piece.
Like I watched
brilliantly done.
I watched Lamageddon.
I have seen that one, and
you've seen it? Holy crap!
And then I think Killer Snow or something like that with like the snowmen that The Nazi snowmen. I think they were Nazi snowmen, if I remember correctly. I mean, because it couldn't just be snowmen; they had to be Nazi snowmen for some reason. I don't know why, because it
from
makes sense,
from Arkansas, where there's no snow or Nazis.
right? Well, I wouldn't go that far,
Well,
but
yeah,
I, yeah, no, it's interesting. I don't know. There's some, yeah. And there was also one. What was it? Thanksgiving, where the turkey was on the killing spree.
See, I
Um,
like movies like that. I really do. Like movies that are just so freaking horrible. But I
oh
don't
yeah.
think I don't think that I could have watched The Reconciler. I don't think I would have made it through that one. So I'm glad the guy
I'm
just
gonna look that
went.
up. I'm gonna tell everyone I know now. Okay, now we need to do
It's
sit
so
down
bad. It's so bad.
and watch The Reconciler. See, but that sounds like. I mean, that really does sound like a like a priest would be the reconciler. Like
Oh,
like
there's
you
a
guys are
twist.
gonna.
There's a twist at the end. There is a twist at the end, like there is in Saul.
See, you know what? And I could probably already guess it, but it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
you probably
okay.
can.
I'm still going to watch. I think I need to watch that movie. It's gonna go right on the shelf next to Thanksgiving, Lamageddon, and oh, I can't remember the one with like the tire. I think it might have just been
Oh, it's called Rubber.
tire
It's called Rubber.
rubber.
I haven't seen
Yes.
that one yet, but it's in my watch list. but
Also a wonderful
strange
film.
but strangely enough, that movie about the rubber, that movie is actually a cult classic.
Yeah. I it can't be anything but a cult classic because it's certainly not a classic in and of itself.
I don't know. I've read reviews about it. People actually do like that movie. But
I, and people are allowed to be wrong, but
oh,
I,
you've seen it?
I've seen parts of it. You know what? It's all those movies. I've seen them, or at least seen parts of them, and know enough to wish I didn't know. I think that would be that'd be a fair statement.
I watched Monsternado the other night, and
Is that like Sharknado but with monsters?
yeah, it okay. The worst Sharknado movie, which I think was, in my opinion, was the last one. That one is a cinematic masterpiece compared to Monsternado.
Is there really a bad Sharknado though? I mean, come on, let's be fair. Is there really a bad Shark?
Well, the first two weren't really all that bad, as far as like, the first two, it's just like, they actually put some effort into it, but the last four, it's just like they kept getting more and more ridiculous. Like, this one, they're in space. There's sharks alive in space, out in the vast vacuum of space, and they're still alive.
Space sharks, man. Well, and oh gosh, I'm also trying to think of oh, it was Santa Jaws. I think it was Santa Jaws. You seen that one?
I haven't. I've seen it. I've seen it come up on Amazon, but I haven't actually
Yeah,
watched it.
the shark is like a Christmas shark, but it's going around eating people. So and I can't remember. I think if I remember correctly, like the child like wished the shark into existence. Like it was kind of like some comic thing, some silly thing that the kid like made up, and it somehow manifested into
Oh,
a real
so
thing.
it was like Wes Craven's New Nightmare,
Yes,
which that was,
only with sharks
but
and candy canes.
that was actually a
Mhm.
very good movie. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I mean, it it's one of it's top three Elm Street movie, if you ask me.
Thank you. Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah. Hashtag, but I digress right out of the gate.
Oh,
Oh God. I think I found the perfect co-host. So
hey.
anyway, tonight we're going to Wisconsin. and we got a weird one for you. No, it's not.
Cheese.
It's not Ed Gein. It's not Jeffrey Dahmer.
Smell our derriere. Is that what they say?
Yeah, but we probably will get to Dahmer before I had originally planned on it, because I've always said that we would cover Dahmer on episode 500.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll probably get to Dahmer sooner because your husband likes the heavy hitter true crime stories. So we'll probably get to Dahmer a lot sooner than I was initially planning. But that's going to be at least a 3-part episode. So
You need a lot for Dahmer. He's special.
Ed Gein, I could probably get that in a long 1 part. But definitely, I don't see that one being more than 2 parts. So, yes, that's fine. We'll cover Ed Gein sooner rather than later, or Ed Gein and Dahmer. Although after the interview with the author that I did, the frustrated witness guy, I don't know. I'm gonna have to inject some of that because I believe. We'll save that for another episode, for the Dahmer episode.
Yeah, save that content, because that's good.
That actually might make Dahmer a 4-part episode if I cover that. but this story involves an ex-cop who was a sexual sadist with the name Mr Handcuffs, which is kind of you want to be ominous. You don't want to be. You shouldn't call yourself Mr Handcuffs if you're an ex-cop.
Right. I think he really should have been like Mr Fuzzy Handcuffs, because that gives it kind of more of a cute, little kind of whimsical.
Well, he's a BDSM predator.
Yeah. But he still could have used the nice, comfortable cuffs with the fur. I mean, the cuffs with the fur, girls in the bed. Is that how that song goes? I don't know. Something close.
Don't know the song. I know that Willie Picton liked the furry handcuffs. But Steven Zelich was born October 29th, 1961. He was a regular on BDSM websites, and he himself had been into BDSM since he was 19, slowly escalating his violent tendencies until it led to the murder of 2 women. The sources for this one are the documentary Sex and Murder, Season 3, Episode 1, Mr Handcuffs, with a little bit of wiki. But the story begins in the summer of Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, which was a tourist town, and it's an upscale town as well, like Hilton Head on a lake. That's kind of what it seemed like to me. Hilton Head on a lake instead of the ocean, but
fancy, posh.
Yeah, but fun fact: I lived on Hilton Head Island for a few years. But
oh, look at you.
I had a blast there. I was a photographer. But on June 5th, 2014, 2 suitcases on the side of the road were reported to the police. They stank, and they had just been dumped there. And once they were opened, they found that both cases contained a badly decomposed nude woman. One had a ball gag in her mouth that was secured with a leather strap. There was also a rope tightly wrapped around her neck, and her hands were tied behind her back. The other woman was just crammed into the suitcase. Yeah, so yeah.
Do you think he had to sit on it to like zip it up?
Well, both of these women were like 5 foot nothing, 110 pounds soaking wet. So a large suitcase, yeah, you make that work. There's a case here in Florida where a woman tricked her abusive boyfriend into getting into a suitcase and zipping it up, and he suffocated. And now she is like on trial, and I can't remember her name, but that's a case that's gotten a lot of notoriety and everything, and she keeps holding up the privilege, the process.
Mhm.
because she keeps switching attorneys because she knows she's guilty. She knows she's done. So she keeps firing her an attorney and starting the whole process over.
Yeah, I mean, if he was abusive, part of me is kind of like, I mean, it, is it really that bad? I mean, she, yeah,
Well,
she zipped him up in there, but
well, I mean, yeah, he was probably an abusive piece of shit, but still, I mean, she actually there's actually video footage of this of him in the suitcase, like begging her to be let out. I can't breathe, and all that stuff. Yeah, I've actually heard the video or heard the audio from that, and
uh,
it's just, I mean, you can't kill somebody, it just this was not self defense. This was premeditated murder.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, it's just if you,
And this
yeah, I
happened
guess
at
if you get pushed that far.
this happened in Orlando.
Mm. Yeah,
Eh,
I mean, I, I can't say. I mean, I feel bad for the dude that's how he had to go, but yeah, if he was an abusive piece of shit, I guess I kind of just go, ah,
Yeah, and
ah, ah.
I see both sides of that because it's just like some, but still, it just, if he attacks you and you shoot him, that's self defense. But
We both reach for the gun.
if you get him to agree to get into a suitcase and then you zip said suitcase up
He
and
wanted to be in there. He got in it. That's he was
yeah.
cozy, comfortable, could bury him in it. It's just convenient. He
Anyway,
flies for free now on Southwest.
oh man, but
Only on Southwest, but
yeah, the other woman was police. Bleh. Police began searching the area looking for anything that they could find, clues, more bodies, anything. They immediately figured that there was a serial killer on the loose. And they didn't find anything of note other than the women themselves. And the media obviously converged on the scene, and this became a huge story. The suitcases and the bodies were taken to the lab to try to find DNA. And police also figured that the suitcases probably belonged to the women, meaning that they were likely to be tourists.
insult to injury. Like, not only did he put you in a suitcase, but he packed you in your own. Like,
Yeah.
didn't even use a suitcase that he bought, like stuff you in your own suitcase.
A tattoo on one of the victims was linked to a missing 34-year-old woman from Minnesota named Laura Simonson. They quickly determined that the woman was in fact Laura, and she had been missing since November of 2013. And she had been reported missing by her mother and her sister. Laura was a divorced mother of 7 at 34 years
Oh,
old, and they were busy.
she got around.
Now it's just they're all with the same husband.
Oh,
Like
wow.
they they're they, they were a couple that would have the stick figure stickers on the back of
That
the
goes
window,
along the
and
entire window.
it says like man, woman, and then like 7 kids, and then somebody would write in the dust on the back of the window, "My God, stay off of her."
Bad man. Do you pull out of your driveway this bad?
Oh damn. Up until that point, she had been a good mom and would never abandon her kids, but she had been struggling financially, and she'd been through the ringer. She got divorced and lost custody of her kids. There's no information I can find on why she lost custody, but one of her kids had recently died due to a medical condition. So she was dealing with that too. But she was basically hiding from everybody at this point, and she was just in a really bad place. She had a friend, a guy named Jeff, who hadn't heard from her in a couple weeks, but he had access to her social media accounts and he started digging. And he turned this over to the police. It turned out that she'd been on various BDSM sites, and right out of the gate, I'm thinking of episode 75, The Slave Master John Robinson.
Hmm.
This guy was actually was a serial killer.
Yeah.
It's a crazy story too.
I haven't heard that one. I'll have to listen to that one too.
Yeah, it's a good episode. Friends thought that she may have met somebody, on one of those sites, and that was confirmed after the Minnesota police sent out missing person reports to hotels in the area. A Microtel employee remembered that Laura had checked in with a man on November 2nd of 2013. The hotel was in Laura's name, and the man's name wasn't known. And she said that Laura looked sad and the man looked angry. The video had been deleted for November 2nd, but the video from November 3rd showed the man paying for Laura's room. And if they had waited one more day, the video for number 3rd would have been gone too. It just gets deleted after like a certain amount of time.
Right. They're just lucky that it was there.
Yeah, very lucky. But this man paid for Laura's room, and he paid in cash.
No name.
The video was on Laura's. The video. The
room was in her name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I meant.
He paid for it in cash and didn't leave his name on the ticket. So
right.
He didn't want to leave a credit card or something.
No, he was trying to get the deposit back. They had to pay a deposit on the room. So he's sitting there waiting for them to go up and check out the room, make sure everything's okay. Meanwhile, this cart is sitting there with all these suitcases on them. You know where that's going.
Foreshadowing.
Well, but on the cart there were 2 suitcases, and this was now being called by the media the Suitcase murders. But as far as the cart and the suitcases, put a knife in that. Further analyzing of her messages showed that she had been talking with a 50-year-old male dominant on a site called collarme.com. And he was looking for a 24/7 slave. And there was a picture of him, and it was determined that this man and the man in the hotel, the video from the hotel, were the same person. And his screen name was, take a guess.
For Handcuff?
You got it.
Mr. Fuzzy Cuffs?
But Laura, according to the messages, Laura wanted to give this man total control over her. Handcuff said that if she were going to meet him, it would have to be 24/7, meaning that she would have to disappear. And I'm getting serious slave master vibes here.
Yeah, that should have been a red flag. Like, nobody should know where you are or what you're doing. Don't check in with anybody. Don't tell anyone where you're going. I need you to effectively go away.
Well, if you think about it, I'm sure that people who go into these situations and it turns out okay, I'm sure that they do kind of just disappear on their own, because what are you going to do if, like, your daughter comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm going to go be a sex slave for this guy that I met online"?
I would think most people kind of do that just behind a closed door. Like they're normal otherwise. Yeah, they go about their lives and they do whatever. And I would think that most people might believe that if it was a woman in this case, that maybe she was a housewife and just didn't work but stayed home.
Looking for
But
something, looking for some excitement.
yeah, but I mean that she was just going to stay home and she was going to be a homemaker, but not necessarily that she would completely disappear, but like, if her family called, she'd, you know, like they could get in touch with her, they'd know she was okay, but behind closed doors, they had this kind of all the time power exchange deal.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't. It doesn't compute in my head to where I'm just gonna let somebody dominate me 24/7 and just, it just doesn't compute. Well, for one thing, I don't like being bossed around. So, I mean,
I mean, I guess to each their own, I mean, I don't
well, I'm
understand,
not kink shaming at
you
all.
know.
I'm just saying it's not for me. I'm just saying it's not for me. That is not my thing. I don't. I don't know.
Stop pink shaming these women.
I'm not kink shaming anybody.
Uh,
I'm just saying it's not for me.
uh, mm, I don't know. Sounds like you are not respecting their 24/7 thing.
I just said that more power to you. It's like if you want to, more power to you. It's just not for me.
Okay.
Oh, I for example, I like having a woman, like a woman that I date challenge me and be like, be a smart ass and go back and forth like in a playful way and stuff like that. I like that, but I don't think
Yeah,
that
that's
would.
called a brat.
Yeah, I like brats. I have a 14-year-old daughter. I know all about brats.
Yeah, but I mean, it's sexy when your girlfriend does it.
Well, true. I mean, that's
Infuriating when
fun.
your child does.
Yeah. No, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. But that's like, it's like if you can sarcastically go back and forth at each other like that, just messing with each other and just purposely. That's really the sign of a strong relationship. If you can do it without pissing each other off,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, yeah, it really is. Um, but Laura's friend Jeff was able to find the man's real name, Steven Zelich, and he had a house in West Allis, Wisconsin, just a suburb of Milwaukee. And they contacted the police there and they asked if they knew about anything, a man named Steven Zelich. And they're like, Steven Zelich? Like, yeah. Like, okay, let me tell you about Steven Zelich.
Well, like
um,
like how long do you have? Tell you about.
yeah, this is the police officers. The police office there. Steven Zelich was a West Allis cop who had lost his job over a pattern of disturbing behavior towards women. He was a creeper. He was hitting on any woman that he saw. He would go into strip clubs in uniform and harass the dancers, and even follow them home after he left, and he would also pull them over in a squad car.
Well, that's not creepy at all.
No, not at all. Lots of women had complained about him. One stripper went home with him one night. I guess she was new, maybe didn't know him. It would have to be.
Maybe, or really needed money, or I don't know.
Yeah. Um, she went home with him, and she was seen running naked out of his house, and got some Dahmer vibes there. um, she said that, or he said that she had stolen money from him. Got some Willie Picton vibes there, and he tried to subdue her with handcuffs, but she got away.
Seems legit.
Yeah. That was the 10th complaint against him in 2 years, and he resigned after this last one. He wasn't actually fired.
And I mean,
He's
I
just
think to
like,
myself, I'm like, I know that I always steal other people's money when I'm naked,
yeah, exactly.
because that is the opportune time to do it.
Yeah. Although somebody, like if somebody breaks into my house and I've thought about this because I saw a meme that said this. If somebody breaks into my house in the middle of the night and I hear them,
Run at them naked.
yeah, I'm gonna take off my. I don't sleep naked, so I will just take off the clothes and just run at them naked. I mean, that's an instant psychological advantage right there.
I have a friend that used to say that all the time. He was an army guy and everything, and he used to say, oh, he's like, if ever I hear a weird noise at night, I walk around naked. He's like, because seriously, if someone's gonna run at you naked, especially if you pick up something like a baseball bat or whatever, and you run at them naked, he said they're gonna be freaked out.
Yep.
Like, I don't care who you are, you're gonna run at someone naked. They're like, back right out of there. Pick the wrong house. Seriously, that's
and then when you tackle them and get them on the ground, you're like, all right, you got two choices here. You can get the fuck out, or you can come to bed with me. Your choice.
I love it when people try to break in. I think that was on Family Feud. That was one of those funny answers. They said, what's the last thing you want to see if you break into a house or something? And the guy was like, naked grandma. And of course, Steve Harvey was like, naked what? It's like, and the other players were like, I don't want to see that. So, I mean, in essence, he was correct.
I love what Steve Harvey has done with Family Feud. I mean, it just, that's good stuff. That guy knows what he's doing. But so Zelich then got a job as a security guard. And
Emotion. Got it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Rent a cop. And yeah. In January of 2014, the West Allis police went to Zelich's place and questioned him about Laura. And there was no evidence of Laura or any other woman that they saw just on just looking around. I mean, they didn't have a warrant. So, but there was no evidence of any woman being there.
Did they check his closets and his suitcases?
Well, they didn't have a warrant. So, I mean, they were just talking. They were just talking to him, but they were looking around at the same time. But there was no evidence of a woman. He said that he had only talked with Laura online and had never met her in person. Next, the Wisconsin Division of Criminal Investigation and the FBI paid Zelich a visit. They asked him again about Laura, and he repeated his story about only talking to her online. She wanted to meet him, but he didn't want to meet her. Bullshit.
Yeah, I have no interest. I mean, do I follow Spurs home? I mean, do I creep out every woman I ever talk to? Yeah, but I really didn't want to meet this one, even though she was interested in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so, in another head scratcher moment from a former cop, they asked him for a DNA sample and he agreed to it.
Nothing beats stupidity, I guess. Well, see, that's a classic case of overconfidence.
Yeah, true.
That's a. I don't think they're ever going to be able to pin this on me. There's nothing they can pin on me. I'm, upstanding as far as what I do. I'm a law enforcement officer. I was.
I'm a rent-a-cop.
Security guard. I'm a security guard or whatever. But
by the way,
yeah,
to any of our, I know for a fact that we have some listeners that are security guards, like overnight security guards, and are not knocking the profession of being a security guard. We're making fun of this chucklehead. So,
yes, we appreciate you and what you do.
I mean, and we appreciate you listening to the show during those long, boring nights when you're sitting there overnight. I know for a fact we have at least two listeners that fit that description. So shout out to you guys.
Don't click off the show.
We're not ragging on security guards. We're ragging on Zelich. So, but They didn't, at this point, they didn't hit him with the video from the hotel yet. I guess maybe they were saving it for later.
Oh yeah. They didn't want him to know, like, hey, we saw you with
Right,
Laura,
because if
or
they
yeah,
if they hit him with that, and it's circumstantial evidence, they can't arrest him with that. But if they hit him with that video, he's gonna
he's
haul
gonna shut
ass.
up. Well, yeah, or he's just gonna shut up
Yeah,
and he's not gonna say anything at all. And then, I mean, if he's already singing and talking and giving up his DNA samples,
yeah,
I I say let him go. Like
yeah.
okay,
But they determined that these two bodies had been kept at two different locations. One had been exposed to the elements, one was not. The skin on the other woman was mummified while Laura's was decomposed. And they still had no clue who this other woman was. Um, but they were both tied with the same type of rope, and their toenails and fingernails have been painted in the same shade of pink. Both were tiny, obviously, because they were able to be fit whole into a suitcase.
oh,
These
that is an important distinction. He
yeah,
did
they were
not dismember.
right.
He,
Yeah, they
he
were
stuffed
tiny.
them in there. Yeah.
They were petite. But Zelik was tracked and followed, but he wasn't. But he wasn't doing anything odd. He probably knew they were following him. Um,
Oh God, I just thought to myself, I'm like, I guess that's one advantage of being a woman my size. You ain't gonna stuff me in a suit. I mean, you may need a couple, like the ones that kind of nest inside one another. Pull all three of them out, then maybe. Much more difficult to kidnap as well. You're bigger. Eat cake, ladies. You are harder to kidnap. Keep this in
oh my god. Oh man. I want to keep recording. I have found the perfect co-host, ladies and gentlemen. I have. I'm happy. I'm tickled pink. So
Pink is the shade of nail polish on those chicks.
I love her. I love her. I love her, people. I love her. But, oh man. The first break in the case came when the DNA on the rope was tested and it matched Zelich's DNA.
Soccer.
Search warrants were requested and it was time to grab him. So they brought him in on June 25th, 2014. A suitcase full of BDSM devices was found in his house, and Laura's DNA and Zelich's were found on a pair of handcuffs, and among other things. And when they presented the DNA evidence to him, he just confessed. He's just, they got me. He's a cop.
Yeah.
He knows, he's an ex-cop. He
Yeah.
knows the deal. But
he probably already had a suspicion that when they come up to your house and they knock on the door and they're like, I want to ask you a few questions. I'm sure immediately he's like, shit.
just a matter of time. And
yeah.
But still, he was, like you were saying, he was probably like so cocky that he just didn't. He's just like, yeah. It looks bad, but they're not going to get me.
Don't really have hard evidence on me.
Yeah.
They have some that
circumstantial evidence
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
My DNA is on a victim that was found in a suitcase.
That's kind of a
incriminating. Just a little bit.
A skosh.
But he admitted that he had kept the body of the other woman in a refrigerator for an entire year, which is why she looked mummified and Laura was decomposed.
Okay, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
Keeping people in your fridge now.
people started comparing. Funny you say that, because people started comparing. But people started comparing Zelich to Dahmer, and in his interrogation, Zelich said that he still felt like he was one of them, like a police officer. Like he's part of the family still. He's delusional, if you ask me.
All police officers stuff victims in suitcases. I mean, it's not that weird to me. I mean, that's, seems kind of par for the course, right?
I mean, maybe. I mean, you got
I mean, when you go to the academy, don't they have like things? I would think that they would have like, oh, who can stuff this body in the suitcase the quickest? Like,
well, there's a handful of police officer serial killers out there. Gerard Schaefer, a Florida guy, comes to mind. That's somebody that we're going to cover at some point. I can't think of any others right off the top of my head, but I know that they're out there. Gerard Schaefer, that case is crazy. But he was from over there in the Treasure Coast.
All right.
Like Port St. Lucie area.
Was he a pirate?
No. No, yeah. Okay, he because of the fact that he's Florida, he just got moved to the front of the list after, like very soon. We're going to cover Schaefer. I've wanted to cover him for a long time, and for whatever reason I didn't. But yeah, he just got moved to the front of the like near the front of the list.
Yeah.
But now,
Florida man.
Yeah, but now they hit him with the hotel video, and with the DNA, and they officially placed him under arrest. He started talking about how he met the first girl. He started talking to her when she was 16, but her name, and he said that her name was Jenny Gamez, but he called her Gomez because he's an idiot. But she disappeared from Oregon when she was 19, and she this is tragic. She had been put into foster care when she was 13 years old because her mother had been sent to prison. And she had become very close with her foster sister, Amanda. Now, Amanda knew that she was talking with somebody on MySpace and had been for months. And so Zelich flew her out to Kenosha, Wisconsin in August of 2012, and he took her to a hotel. And they had BDM sessions the entire weekend, and he claimed that her death was an accident during what he called breath control, and it was basically like autoerotic
asphyxiation. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, if you, yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, oh man, I choked the hooker too hard. Oops,
yeah, but with a ball gag in her mouth.
Yeah.
Jenny had a 1-year-old son that she loved, and she would actually never abandon him. So Zelich's claims that she was coming on for a 24/7 situation are probably bullshit. She was probably just going away for a weekend or a week or so to get her freak on, and planned on coming back.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna have a fun little session and then I'll fly home.
Right. That was Zelich's story, but Jenny had only bought a one-way plane ticket.
Oh, well, I mean, and that's sad too, though, because if she was in foster care, she probably didn't have anybody that really.
Well, she was in good. She was really close with the family that adopted her. Like I said, her foster sister, the girl says, Amanda, she says even in the documentary that she didn't, they were sisters. They weren't foster sisters. So, I mean, she was in a really good situation, but, Zelich didn't even try to help her. He just went into damage control mode and, trying to get away with it. So he took her out of the hotel room and in her suitcase, took her home, and he put her into his refrigerator. He described in great detail how he sexually tortured Ginny and Laura, but put a knife in that. Just the document, not Ginny and Laura. I just got to. You're new. I gotta clarify this. I had to clarify this with Paul too.
Aw.
Because one of the episodes, this got edited out, but one of the it was probably the first episode that he did. I was just like, put a knife in that, and he's just like, "You saying we stabbed the victim?" I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying.
It's already stabbed. You can't stab her anymore.
No, it's just like, instead of put a pin in it on the wall, you put a knife in it because it's a true crime podcast. So
let's put a pin in that.
Yeah. I'm not going back to put a pin in that. It's cliche. I'm the only podcast host that says put a knife in that. So, but Mr. Handcuffs was then put into handcuffs, and people were wondering if he had actually killed other women, and if so, who were they and where the hell were they?
Man has to have a lot of suitcases, or at least, a lot of women that have suitcases, I guess, was his preferred method of getting rid of them.
Yeah. People who knew him said that he was a loner, kept to himself, and blah, 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 blah. But in all the interviews, he admitted that, quote, breath play was dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's basically, and I don't know if I've put this further down, but so I'm just going to say it now. Breath play is just basically choking somebody to the point of passing out, then letting it go. Then relaxing it.
I mean, well, it's not even that you need to make them pass out. I mean, it's more,
getting them close to that point, and then letting them go. Let it, relaxing it so that they can breathe. So, it's autoerotic asphyxiation, except with hostile intent.
Well, but autoerotic implies that you're doing it to yourself.
Right. That's why I said the hostile intent.
Well, the auto implies one person. If you're autoing, you're doing it to yourself.
Oh.
The more you know.
Semantics.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, that was how, oh, God. The actor that was in Kill Bill that just left my mind. He played Bill.
David Carradine.
Carradine, because that's how he died. In a closet.
Same thing with Michael Hutchinson from NXS.
Yeah. In a closet with a noose around his neck with everything hanging out, unfortunately.
Yeah. But who?
Not a nice way to go.
When you were a teenager, did you play the knockout game? The chokeout game?
No. See, we were smart enough not to. Did you play the chokeout game?
I did.
It's obvious.
No, I'm a Gen Xer. Okay, when we were teenagers, we literally got our kicks by trying to kill each other.
See, I'm technically what is it, a Zennial? Because I'm an '82 baby. So if I was born a year prior, I'd be an Xer. But I was technically a millennial, but I'm an old millennial. So,
yeah, but you're right. You're right on the cusp. You're right on the cusp.
I am.
I am. So you still have some of the craziness of a Gen Xer, but you also
I have all of it. My siblings are Gen Xers. I mean, my sister's 12 years older than me, and my brother's 7 years older than me, so they're well into Gen X. So I grew up more of a Gen X child.
Yeah.
Than a millennial kid. But yes, I mean, it was all in good fun to try and kill your friends. I mean, that was
all
in good fun. I mean,
and we would videotape it too.
Were great.
We would videotape it too, so that you could Yeah, it's like I can remember like it's just like you get choked out, you slump down, it's next to a wall, and then you slump down and everything, and you're only out for a couple seconds, but it seems like a long time, and then that weird like prickly feeling all through your body as you come back and everything, and it we videotaped it so we could see how we reacted, and honestly, it was just like. Uh, uh, and then we were, whoa, that was. Don't try this at home, people.
Have someone else do it. But I mean, it's things where it's like because there's two different ways. I mean, they say choking, but there's two different ways to do it because there's actual choke with breath, but then there's a blood choke, where you kind of you're cutting off the blood supply, which is inherently much more dangerous because, you hold that too long. I mean, you only have to do that to someone for a few seconds and they'll pass out. You get them
Right.
right and they'll pass out. You keep holding that and, and it's worse. I mean, it's actually very hard to choke someone with breathing. Like to really choke someone till they pass out with just breathing, it's difficult, actually.
Lots of serial killers do that, though. I mean,
They do, but it's difficult. It really is because you got, and it's one of those things where like a lot of times they gotta hold you a lot longer. You're probably thrashing, you're struggling, and everything else,
right.
and it's once you pass out, you would have to hold it for a while longer. Like you can't just let go because then they're just gonna and they're gonna regain consciousness. So you really gotta hold up. I don't know why I know all this. That
I was
I
wondering.
promise I promise people I'm very sane. But I mean but a blood choke? I mean that can be dangerous because you get it, and if they pass out and you're holding that for a while, you know, and it's easier to do and quicker. So, yeah.
But anyway,
The more
hashtag,
you know.
but I digress. But this was on topic digression.
Yes, yes. On topic,
On
on choking.
topic digression. So, um, not even a year after Zelich killed Jenny, he started talking with Laura online. He said in the interrogation that there were no meetups between himself and any other woman in between Jenny and Laura. Don't know if I believe that or not, but whatever. Nobody else has turned up. So, I mean,
So
he
we
was,
know.
yeah, he was grooming her because she was in a very bad place, and and she,
I'm telling you, the choking game, man, does bad things to you.
oh man, but he was in a very bad place, and he kept. Damn it! He was grooming her
Like one of those
because
PSAs. Don't,
I leave.
don't.
I get tongue tied a lot, and I leave it in because it's funny. So,
What was it like Michael Jordan? Stop it. Some help. Like,
but he was grooming her because she was in a very bad place, and he capitalized on this. He convinced her that she was best off running away, cutting off ties to all family and friends, and telling nobody where she was going, all while letting him control every aspect of her life.
sounds
In,
helpful.
in the transcripts of their conversations, Laura is addressing Zelich as Sir and referring to herself as slave. One message she says, "Sir, I'll be dead, whether it's with you alive or as your slave, or dead, murdered by you, or with you. I'll just die. I'd prefer to be your slave because I do want to live."
Right.
That right there is heartbreaking.
Yeah. That's a woman that
She
obviously needs help and
yeah.
is probably
Well,
depressed
she had
and
lost she had lost her kids, and like all of her kids, and lost one of them, you know who died in the hospital. And Swango wasn't there, by the way. I just got to throw that in there. But and Swango didn't kill kids that we know of. I don't know. but but to this, Zelik replied, "Do not panic. I don't wish to wait either, but must weigh it with doing things correctly. A strong option is pushing pickup to Friday, allowing all those loose ends to be tied up without rushing." And he's like contradicted himself like twice in that one paragraph. He's like,
don't
we
don't
have to.
panic, don't rush. We're gonna push it up. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be quick. You're coming tomorrow.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck?
What?
Uh, I
Okay.
mean, this guy's an asshole. But
Oh.
another one said, "Sir, is this the right way to sell and scrap all of my belongings and not say anything and to disappear? I know you know best, and I'm not trying to question you. It's like, wow, I've gotten rid of most of everything. I'm giving myself completely to you. I've gone nuts not talking to anybody about this, and it's not enough. I can't do anymore, and if it's not good enough, then I'm not good enough. You poor child. I mean, goddamn. I mean,
Mm-mm.
it's just,
And he took advantage of that, like her
yeah,
weak position, just
yeah. I mean,
completely manipulated her.
I'm, I'm not one to kink shame, but this goes beyond kink. This
Oh yeah,
this
this
this is a predator taking advantage of a woman who's literally at her wits end and mind fucking her
yeah,
into doing whatever his sick mind wants her to do. And
yeah.
it's all about him getting his jollies and her needs.
Oh
Who
yeah,
cares?
he doesn't care what she's going through. He's just glad that this woman is willing to do whatever he says and prostrate herself in front of him, and it's yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. Mhm.
The loose ends that he was talking to referred to a list of things that he wanted her to do before he went to go get her. He said that this was all her fantasy and he was just helping her realize it.
Oh, and
I mean,
that's good too. Convinced her that this is all her idea.
yeah,
This isn't my idea. You want to get rid of all your stuff and submit to me and be my slave, and this is all for you, my darling.
yeah. So, I mean, this was a difficult going through. It's just I don't like. I hate people who manipulate others. They're they're subhuman pieces of shit, and I just yeah. So this was hard, and this is like as far as like cases that I've covered, this
Mm.
is the worst case of gaslighting that I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, and he's definitely he knows what to say and how to say it so that she feels like you know.
Which raises the question: are there other victims out there that he did? Because he seems to be a pro at this,
Hmm.
and I I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he honestly. I don't know if he killed any more. But if later on down the road it comes out that he did, not going to be surprised in the least.
Yeah, he's yeah. Well, and the fact that he was saying, "Oh, I accidentally killed her. That this was an accident. I didn't mean to kill her. I did it while I was, you know, play choking her." Just kind of goes to show that he, yeah, like he's manipulative and he doesn't care about women, and he's able to find women that are you know in a position of weakness or in a very vulnerable position and lure them in. And I think that's, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either because he knows what to look for. He knows the signs. And if he's putting on like his, BDSM profile or whatever, that this is what he wants, this is what he's looking for, and women are coming to him, he's already found a victim.
Right.
He's already found someone. He knows, oh, I can manipulate this woman because she's come to me and she's already has these fantasies. So I know what to say.
I mean, if it's just a weekend thing, like like Jenny, I think, yeah, Jenny, like
Yeah.
she, was supposed to be going for or whatever. If if that was you do you,
Hmm.
but I mean, I really don't. There's so much slave master vibes in this. I mean, I was surprised to find another one, but the slave master killed like 10 people, maybe more than that. I don't remember,
Mm.
but oh, and he was far worse than this guy. This slave master was, this guy is a rookie. This guy is a greenhorn, and
He
compared to
just dipped
John
his
Robinson.
toe into the waters of torturing and killing women.
I'm not even going to tell you anything about that episode. Just listen to it.
Mm.
Number 75, because that guy. um. Yeah. Anyway, so she has to disappear, and he thinks that he thinks that he's committed the perfect murder, and he wants to do it again. So they basically set her up to kill her.
Mm.
Now, he told both women
Mm.
that when they met, that their fingernails and toenails had to be pink, and that they had to shave all of their pubic hair off, and could only bring a small amount of quote approved clothing. And who the
And
hell?
remove all your teeth. Uh, and let's see what else. Oh my God. Yeah, very
Yeah,
controlling.
who the hell does this puke think he is? I mean, I just I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a nice guy. um, and I just don't I don't get these people who will, like the mentality of, if I can't have you, nobody can have you, shit like that.
Mm,
I don't get that. It's just, if it's not working, just fucking leave. Don't you? There's no reason to kill anybody.
yeah,
I mean,
the possessiveness, the
yeah,
controlling. Yeah.
but that just means that, that just means that I don't have that particular screw loose in my head. you know.
That we know of.
Well, no,
How many suitcases do you own?
I have one duffel bag that I use for travel. Nobody's fitting in a duffel bag.
Yeah, I mean, you stack them real neatly in there.
But Laura had some parking tickets, and her driver's license was set to renew soon, and he told her not to pay them and not to renew the driver's license, and he also told her to shut down her Facebook page.
And that's an abusive tactic too, to cut someone off from everybody they know, to that
Yeah.
that that's what a lot of abusers try to do, like cut off your routes of communication and escape and
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I mean, this is a man with the knowledge of police procedures, and
Mm.
he knows how to make her extremely difficult to track. And Laura just, followed every order that he gave her without question, which is,
Yeah.
which is tragic. Um, when they met, he had 2 cases of BDSM tools, and he told the police that this was just supposed to be over the weekend. And I don't buy that for a minute at this point, because, she's deleted every trace of herself up to this point. And the
Yeah.
same thing with same thing with Jenny. She bought a one-way plane ticket.
Yeah. She wasn't planning on going back, especially, if she had a sister and family she was close with, and,
Yeah,
you
a
know,
daughter.
yeah.
I mean, Laura had 6 kids. Well, should have
Yeah.
been 7, but
7. Yeah.
still, I mean,
6 living kids.
right.
Yeah.
So he picked her up November 2nd, 2013, drove her to the microtel in Rochester, Minnesota. He admitted to even being rougher with Laura than he was with Jenny because Laura was older. But other than that, both scenarios were like nearly identical. He then went into details about what he did to Laura at the microtel. I mean, she was kneeling on the bed, handcuffed, gagged, and blindfolded. And then he wrapped a rope around her neck, doing his breath play, basically choking her a little bit tighter with each breath that she took. And then once again, he took it too far. She went limp and fell over onto the floor. He then went into damage control again, rather than trying to get her help. He stuffed her in the suitcase and he checked out of the hotel and took off. Laura, in this hotel security video, Laura is literally in the suitcase that's on the cart in that video feed.
Wow. Can you imagine, like, if you were like the poor hotel person that was behind the desk, like looking at that video and realizing that a
There's
body
a
had
body,
been
yeah.
wheeled by you? I think that I would be looking at every suitcase that went by me from then on out. Like every time someone was checking out of a hotel, I'd be staring, going, is that clothes or is that a corpse? I'm
Yeah.
not sure which.
I mean, as,
Yikes.
as a truck driver, I mean, we've covered 2 truck driver serial killers, and there's more. And as a truck driver, I often wonder, it's just like, okay, this truck that I'm passing, is there a woman tied up in the sleeper berth? I mean,
Or
you
every
never
time
know.
I drive by a big bag of trash on the side of the road that
I
looks vaguely
Yeah,
bulky, it's like,
I've been all over the continental U.S., like from one side to the other, multiple times. And it's just like, I'm sure I have passed or been passed by somebody that had somebody, as a prisoner in their truck. I'm sure I have.
and us Florida people, I mean, we don't have basements here, but elsewhere, I mean, it's like, you ever wonder how many houses you drive by that have people locked in a basement? And of course, you're just like,
Well,
well, I do now, but
like the Ariel Castro case. I mean, you know, um, they. You're not familiar with that one?
what's it? Is that Oh, is that
It's
the
in
one where she
Ohio.
was like one of 4, like in a basement or something like that, and
Hmm.
she ended up escaping
Yeah, and the and
eventually?
the and the fucker killed himself in prison.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, like wasn't she down there for months or something ridiculous?
they were down there for years, like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he had like several. It's just you
Yeah.
never know. You never freaking know. I mean, yeah, and it's plus. I mean, they say that at any given time in the United States, there's probably at least 10 or 20 serial killers active. I mean,
Comforting.
yeah, very.
Like I said, remember, ladies, eat cake.
He paid for the he paid for the room, and in the video he keeps looking at his watch, and people asked him why he was doing that. He said that he had to be checked out before 11 a.m. and he didn't want to be charged a late fee. Like, what a piece of shit! You're worried about a $20 late fee, and you've got a fucking body in a suitcase on a fucking luggage cart.
Had to get rid of Listen, he had to get rid of that body before 11 o'clock. Okay, and that's what he had to do, or he had to go, but put her in a refrigerator somewhere. But either
Uh,
way,
she wasn't in the refrigerator. We're going to get to what happened, what he did with her. He couldn't take her body back to his place because he already had a dead body in the fridge.
You start piling up. I mean, we have that problem, especially when you buy in bulk, like when you have bulk bodies, it's like you open your trunk, it's like shit, there's one there. Open your fridge, damn it, and deep freeze in the back. Where am I gonna put them all?
The trunk? God, you freaking are you did you get my notes? or did you look into it a little bit? Because you're right. Months later, after many ho guests, months later, after many hotel guests had been in and out of that room, they cut a piece of carpet out on the floor, and they actually found Laura's DNA in the carpet, and it had actually, even been cleaned like twice since that event happened. They were still able to find, like trace amounts of Laura's DNA, which is fucking amazing.
Wow. And also one makes you wonder, like, what were they cleaning those hotel rooms with? And I'm not sure I want to go to that hotel because if there's DNA smattering everywhere.
Once again, I've stayed in a lot of hotels. I'm sure I've stayed in a hotel where somebody was killed at some point.
Yeah.
I'm breaking you in on this one.
Be gentle. I need a safe word.
Pineapple.
Your safe word is orange, but I don't know if it's the color or the fruit. I'll decide when you say it.
But Zelich did take Laura's body back to his apartment in West Allis near Milwaukee, but he just put the suitcase in his car. And if you've ever watched a Green Bay Packers home game in November, it's really cold there. So he figured that her body would, he would keep her body cold for the time being because it's so freaking cold there.
Fine.
Jenny also wound up in the trunk too, but come springtime, the car was starting to smell.
As they do. Like you can't let those bodies get warm, and you gotta keep them nice and chilled. Yeah.
Even coworkers were telling him that his car stank, and they were reporting it to the managers at his job, but nobody reported it to law enforcement.
Like, man, your car smells like a dead body. You may want to dump it. God. All his coworkers like, listen, I only keep my bodies for about a week. Okay? Too long.
But he tried to deodorize it, but like Jeffrey Dahmer found out, that doesn't work. He had to get rid of the body. So he found a spot in the country next to a back road where he dumped the two suitcases right next to the road. For an ex-cop,
where they can be found.
Yeah, for an ex-cop to do that and then dump them in plain sight, that's pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, and it was stupid to leave everything in there that he killed them with. Like, you're gonna leave the rope you choked her with in the suitcase with her?
And the ball gag.
Why are you gonna leave everything? Like that's one of those things where it's like, geez, at least untie her and take, the rope off and the ball gag out of her mouth and whatever, and stuff her in there without any clothing or anything. I mean, they may be able to determine how she died, but they're not going to have your DNA on a rope. Yeah. Got to be smart. Work smarter. Okay.
You sound like you have a lot of knowledge on this subject.
I'm just saying,
I know, I'm messing with you.
If I had to get rid of a body, okay, not saying I have, but if I did.
But you're not saying you haven't.
You know what? Listen. can't give away all of my secrets here, okay? But I'm just saying, you don't leave you, you don't leave the stuff you killed him with in the suitcase. I mean, it's like, geez, if you shot her, would you just pack the gun nicely next to the body, like, or the knife? Like, yeah, you stuck a knife in her, like put a knife in it. If you did that, you're gonna stick the murder weapon in the suitcase? Or in whatever you threw, a trash bag, whatever you got rid of, like you're
Yeah,
gonna leave it there.
but I mean, I know what you're saying. I'm just messing with you. But still, he's
Yeah,
an ex-cop. He knows all of, and we're talking like, the like 2010, 2012, 2014. This guy knows about DNA.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's not like, oh, there's no DNA, back when, like I always watch the movie Chicago, and every time I do, I go, it wouldn't be that easy today.
Yeah, I mean, modern day serial killers, it's just like they're going to get caught. I mean, if
Eventually, yeah.
if Zodiac started his run, like say 10, 15 years ago, he'd be done. They would know exactly who the hell he was, and he'd be in prison or dead.
Oh yeah. Well, even Swango, I mean, you're not changing your name and running off and forging documents and everything now when it's so much easier to find those things and discover background checks and everything like that. It's so much harder to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You know,
and that's awesome. I mean, I've said before on this podcast, if you commit a murder, there's about a 9 in 10 chance that you're going to get caught.
yeah.
Especially if you kill multiple people. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah. When
you
they
know,
usually get sloppy, that's that overconfidence thing. You once you do it once, you get a taste for it. You go out and you feel like, oh, I got away with one. I'm going to do another, and then, yeah, then you really do just get sloppy, and you just
I mean,
start leaving
like,
evidence behind.
I've never, I have, I had never submitted a DNA sample of myself, but, but, when I got into truck driving, I had to, like give a hair sample
Oh yeah,
because they were, quote, testing for drugs. But you know what? That hair sample, they have my DNA.
oh yeah, oh
I
yeah. Well,
mean, so
he has my DNA now. I mean, I'm, that's all, in there. I'm like, oh yeah, I found out that I'm, just as they say, I'm all white or the assorted crackers type person.
oh, well, you're talking about
With
the ancestry
23andMe.
website, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but I mean, they have my DNA, so
that's how Joseph D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer, was taken down.
hmm
Same thing with the NorCal rapist who we covered, a couple months ago. Same thing. I mean, if it was like familial DNA because somebody in their family had like done like a 23andMe type, an ancestry
hmm
thing, so, I've thought about that, but I mean, they've already got my DNA from when they took it when I was a truck driver for a quote unquote drug test. So they've already got it.
Hey, at least you knew there was no arsenic in your hair.
Yeah, no drugs either. No,
Well
squeaky
remembered.
clean. Anyway, hashtag, but I digress. On topic though. But Zelich never broke from his story about Laura's death being accidental. Police officers in the interrogation called BS on that, saying that at any point he could have stopped, but he kept going, knowing full well that he had already killed Jenny. But he maintained that it was an accident. But he had taken Laura away from her kids, for all of his own selfish gratification.
Yeah.
Officers were trying to get him to break and admit that Laura's murder was premeditated. But Zelich never wavered about it being accidental. He even got mad during the during the interrogation, was like, "How dare they question my word?" You know, the entire
How dare you be incredulous, you piece of shit. But
yeah,
okay. uh,
the entire the entire the entire interrogation, he was nonchalant and emotionless, but they were hinting that Laura's death was premeditated murder, and he got butthurt over it. Yeah, I want to kill her. So this guy's
just wanted to choke her a little.
such a little bitch.
I have a suitcase fetish. Oh,
I like to have full suitcases. Who are
yeah.
you to criticize me for like having a full suitcase?
You know what? No criticizing here. Trust me, as someone who likes a full suitcase every time I travel, I can understand because I always pack underwear like I plan on crapping myself every single day about 3 times. Yeah, because you no, you need extra, okay, extra clothing. And everyone always tells me, why are you packing so much? I'm like, you never know when you're going to need extra, okay? So,
You know, things that happened before we recorded this episode, I see your point.
see, exactly. Now, see, imagine if you'd been traveling and you didn't have an extra shirt, okay? Or you didn't have an extra pair of underwear. I mean, I don't know if that happened, but
No, it didn't.
let's say you didn't.
There wasn't enough time involved.
That's always good. I mean, I always say, if you did you shit your pants today? No, it's an okay day.
It's a good
An
day,
okay
yeah.
day. Good day. Count your blessings.
So during the searches of his apartment, police found 252 pictures of women that he had done BDSM sessions with. Not 250 different women, just 252 different pictures. So they then focused attention on the elephant in the room. Had he killed other women? Um, you know, going back to what we were talking about before, I'm not sure that he did because no other women have been found. And he did such a sloppy job of disposing of Jenny and Laura, but he did drive he drove around all winter with both women in his trunk, and he was laughing about it to the police. Yeah, he took them all the way to Lake Geneva to dump them. So it's I don't know. I really don't think that he killed anybody else, but at the same time,
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I mean, I I wonder if he thought like, if I keep these bodies for a while, and maybe someone's looking for these women, and they don't find them for a while because they're in my trunk, that maybe if I dump them somewhere else and it's been a while, that they won't figure out who they are, or they
yeah.
won't be looking for them anymore,
But still, he's an
or
ex-cop. He knows how DNA works.
he does. Well, that's what I said. Like, what, you left the rope in there? But then again, the whole fact of him being like, sure, you can have my DNA sample, no problem. I'm happy to give it to you. Like, what? That's something where it's like, okay, eventually I'm sure they would have forced him to give a DNA sample or something like that if they put him on trial or something, but
He
why would
volunteered it.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if he volunteered it just maybe to, I don't know, to throw him off, to be like, he's too nonchalant about giving his DNA, and he was a cop, so that seems really stupid. Why would he be so stupid? It can't be him. I don't know what his psychology was, but that's the only thing I can figure, that he was stupid enough to be smart in a way. I don't
Well,
know.
he maybe he thought that it's like, I'm an ex-cop, I know how this works, I'll be able to get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
But
sure he did. Like I said, like that cocky overconfidence. I'm sure he thought there was nothing to pin him, and
right.
he, was just gonna be fine. You know. Oh well.
Sucks to be you, chucklehead.
Yeah, maybe you'll think about giving your DNA next time, asshole.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Through Zelich's interrogation in the trial, he never showed any remorse and never went away from the narrative that deaths were accidental. And unfortunately, there were no witnesses to actually, what exactly went on, and of course, there wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Um, and
Well, I don't know, unless there were some voyeurs sitting around, yeah,
well,
enjoying.
he would have had to kill them too. But
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe
involved
they
with
are
it.
into some snuff stuff. I don't know. Who knows?
But um, yeah, there's no witnesses to exactly what went on and whether or not as far as whether or not the intense abuse that these women went through was consensual. But I'm betting on no, it was not consensual.
It was probably consensual to start, and then it became a
Mm,
never mind.
like, no, thank you. Um, he just wanted control. And he actually admitted that he never used safe words with these women, and that, and this put him in complete control of the situation. It was whatever he wanted, and these women had no say.
Yeah.
You know, Zelik alleges that he never did breath play with the other women that he had BDSM sessions with. Yeah, and like I said before, nobody else has come forward, and he hasn't been linked to any other unsolved cases. But
Well, I wonder if like some of those pictures that he had in his apartment or house or whatever had like other women other than these two women,
oh
and
yeah,
maybe they
there
were
was a
able
lot
to find
there,
out like that they were alive. You know?
but there was a lot more, and it's just
Yeah.
like they did go into like tracking these other women down, and yeah, they're alive and well. So, I mean, so
Lucky them.
it's up in the air whether or not he did it. Whether he killed other people. I'm leaning toward he didn't because of how sloppily he disposed of, Jenny and Laura.
Yeah. Mm.
But after Laura's death, it was discovered that Zelik was grooming another woman to come and play with him, and she lived outside the U.S. It's more likely that more fucking slave master vibes there. He actually did. He actually got her to come, but it it's likely that she was spared because the police got to him before he could bring her to the U.S. But he was planning on it.
He lucked
um,
out.
yes, she did. Zelik pled guilty to crimes in two states. 2016, he got 35 years for the first-degree reckless homicide in Kenosha County, where, Wisconsin, where he killed Ginny Gomez. And in 2017, he got 25 years for the second-degree murder in Olmsted County, Minnesota, where Laura Simonson was killed. Although that should have been proven first-degree premeditated murder, in my opinion.
Mm. I mean, I don't. It's one of those things where I wonder if he thought. I mean, maybe it was premeditated, but maybe he thought like, you know, oh, it'll look like an accident. But then when he actually did it, he panicked. Like
Could
maybe he
be,
thought, I can
but
kill this woman.
he did it a second time.
He did do it a second time, but yeah, I mean, I just wonder, like, if he thought maybe, like, the first time or something, if maybe he said, oh, maybe I can make this look like an accident if I choke her, and then maybe I call for help.
But he never
I mean,
called for help.
he
He never
didn't
called
call
for
for
help.
help, but he didn't. But I wonder if maybe, like, if he killed her and then he panicked about it and thought this was a bad idea.
Nah, it was
I don't know.
if it was an
Maybe.
accident, he would have picked up the phone and called 911.
Well, I'm sure he would have, but I'm saying like if he, if someone said, "Oh, this could look like an accidental death. This could look accidental. And maybe if I choke her out and she dies, if she dies, she dies, then,
Rocky
uh,
Four.
yes, and maybe it'll just look like an accident overall. And yeah, I mean, I wonder if he could have gotten away with it if he did call. Like if he killed her and then called.
I was thinking the exact same thing. But the
Yeah,
thing is he only would have gotten away with it once, not twice.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but then again, I don't know. I mean, who knows if they would have investigated him? Who knows? He could
If
have
it if it
given
happened
a
a
fake
second,
name,
if it happened a second time, then they would have been like,
or if
okay,
he called for help and then like ran away from the hotel, like ditched the hotel or something, or escaped out a window or something, like call if they didn't have that video of him, that was very incriminating. They may not have been able to pin it on him. So
maybe.
maybe he was, maybe if he would have called and been like, I accidentally killed this woman, or I think she's dead, and then ran off. I don't know. Maybe he could have done it a couple more times. I mean, eventually he would have been caught, no doubt. But
I really, honestly, I don't think that he killed any more than these two women. I don't, because, it's just the way that he did it was so sloppy. And in fact, he also got 10 years for hiding a corpse in Lake Geneva for dumping the bodies there. um,
throw in this extra little charge of don't dump your bodies here. That's an environmental thing, right?
yeah. But he's in Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin, and he is basically serving life in prison de facto because his sentences are consecutive, not concurrent.
Wow.
So, and
He's gonna
that's the way
serve out
that's
35. He's gonna serve out 27.
yeah,
Yeah, or
yeah.
whatever.
I hate I hate consecutive sentences because it's just like, okay, you have 6 25-year sentences running concurrently, which means you're going to be out in 25 years. So I
Yeah,
like the fact that these were consecutive. you know
yeah,
um it happens a lot in these cases where it's just like, okay, you've got all these sentences concurrently, which
I
you
mean,
know
I guess if it was like you have 3 concurrent life sentences, I mean, you're pretty much boned either way. you
no, because
know?
if like a life sentence is deemed to be like 25 unless they give you life with no chance of parole. But but when you run it concurrent, you could get out in 25 years. you know so
Yeah.
it just it doesn't make sense. But if he lives long enough, he'll be 98 years old when his sentence in Wisconsin ends. And if he
Mhm.
does, he will then have to serve time in Minnesota. He's 62 now, so he's going to die in prison.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, he ain't good now. That's good. Which is good. No more
As,
suitcases for you, buddy.
as far as Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin is concerned, Chris Watts, who I covered in episode 60, is also serving life sentences at Dodge for killing his wife and unborn child and their 2 daughters.
Wow.
So,
That's,
but
yeah.
yeah, Chris Watts, asshole.
They're all assholes, really.
This
I
is
mean,
another. Well, they are, but still, it's just Chris Watts was a case of just fucking leave. That's all you had to do. You didn't have to kill him.
yeah, you didn't have to take their lives. You just had to
Just
quietly.
just leave.
Yeah. Mm.
And honestly, in that Chris Watts case and everything, It's just like there were reasons for divorce on both sides.
Yeah.
Just fucking divorce.
Mhm.
And none of the shit has to happen. Yeah, it's just like, oh, well, I was afraid I'm gonna get child support and all that stuff. Well, now you're serving life in prison with no parole, idiot. you know,
Mhm.
I mean,
It was more
if you
important that you didn't pay child support. Your children are dead now, so you don't have to pay child support, but
your
that was more
children are
important to
dead,
you.
your children are dead, and you will die in prison. Congratulations, fucker. What did you think about that case? I thought it was a good one.
It was a good one too. Definitely. Yeah, he seems like definitely one of the more stupid, sloppy
Mm,
kind of criminal.
yeah,
And
I
not
mean,
the conniving. I mean, well, obviously he was conniving. He was manipulating to women, but I don't think he planned this out very well. Like,
no.
yeah.
Well, he's definitely no John Robinson. Episode 75. but yeah, he's definitely no John Robinson.
Mm.
But I don't know what not kink shaming here or anything like that. But I just want to know your thoughts on like BDSM in general. I mean, my thoughts are basically it's just like you do you, as long as nobody get hurt. I mean, it's not for me, but who am I to judge? You know,
I don't see a problem with it. As long as both parties are consenting, yeah, and you're not causing long-term harm or damage or anything to a person, then do whatever you want. I mean, that's none of that is for me to judge, you
right?
know. So,
Yeah, I'm just
I mean, yeah,
I
this
don't know.
case, yeah, this guy, I mean, obviously this was sick. This wasn't any sort of a healthy, kink relationship. And I really feel like, that nobody should look at this and condemn people in the kink community. Like
Absolutely
I don't
not.
think,
Absolutely not. There
but
are
there are
people
people
there.
that will,
Yeah, but there are also people that are perfectly okay with being like in a slave 24/7 situation. There are people
yeah,
out there that are like completely okay with that. And you know what? If that's what they want to do, more power to them. But it's just in that type of a scenario, it's like really easy for a predator like this to weasel their way in.
yeah.
Some women, or even some men, they're just into that stuff and everything, and they're perfectly okay with doing it. But at the same time, I don't think that Laura was,
I
just like she may have, like according to the transcripts and everything, she wanted to be in that type of situation.
I don't think she was mentally.
Yeah,
I
she
I
wasn't all there. She
I
wasn't
don't
all there. She was
I
hurt.
don't
She was
think.
damaged.
No, I mean, like when you say like was she consenting, I don't really believe that she was consenting simply because I
No.
mean just like you don't take advantage of someone who's drunk, you don't take advantage of someone who's high, you don't take advantage of someone who can't consent, who's underage, who's this that whatever. That's one of those things where it's like, okay, clearly this woman was in a mental state where she was not able to consent to that because she was having problems, like that's and
Right.
anybody who I would think anybody with the emotional intelligence of a sponge would realize like that like sweetie, you you're depressed, you need help, and you feel like this is going to be an outlet, you feel like this is going to be catharsis, but you are depressed and you need help,
Right.
and like that to me is obvious,
but so,
100% obvious.
but sometimes, sometimes women in that situation look for something like that to to just go. Maybe it's therapeutic. Maybe they think that it's like, okay, I can just get my freak on and that'll help me like collect my bearings and all that stuff. But that's not what Laura got.
No, she was not just a I'm doing this for a catharsis. She, in those messages, she really seemed like a person that, yeah, she was a broken person.
Yeah,
She
she
was a
was
person, she had no self-value at that point.
right.
She was a broken woman who I think she felt like I deserve to be treated
Like
like
dog shit.
an object. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's not a mentally healthy state to be in, and that's not, and no, I don't think anybody, especially in a kink community, a normal, sane person in the kink community would would ever say like, "Oh yeah, that's totally kosher." Like, no, I think that a lot of people would say that's wrong. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
they would
just
recognize
it's
that.
just basically, a decent person isn't going to
Yeah,
take advantage
no,
of anybody. I
no,
mean,
no,
it
you need trust. You need trust. I mean, trust is one of the main foundations of any relationship, not just anything like that, but you have to trust the person you're with and know that they have your best intentions in mind, and that they're not there to hurt you to take. I mean, maybe they're there to hurt you, but they're not, they're not there to harm you, and take advantage of you. And and it's that's just, yeah, I think that's just common sense. And that woman clearly needed mental help,
yeah.
and it's unfortunate that she turned to something like that to kind of cover her pain.
Jenny, on the other hand, she was young and impressionable, and
Yes.
you know, yeah, he he probably totally put that up to her, like, oh, it's like, okay, let's get freaky for a weekend or even a
Yeah.
week or
Hmm.
whatever. But
Yeah.
the thing is, she bought a one-way ticket. Well, he probably bought it, but still, it was a one-way ticket.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. It's just I, I
Yeah.
fucking
She needed, yeah, she needed someone well, both of these women really needed someone to protect them. They needed someone, yeah, like
and he was probably
the
sitting there. He
woman
was
Jenny.
probably sitting there, just like, I'll protect you. I'll give you anything you want. I gotta,
Hmm.
but you have to submit to me 100% and do whatever I tell you. It's just like you're going out of the you're jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire at this point. If you do something like this, and
Yeah.
it just it's just this episode was, it's like, okay, yeah, we're talking about kinks and stuff like that, but at the same time, we're dealing with uh the tragic death of two women who were um
Misled,
basically,
manipulated.
misled, manipulated, gaslighted, um
Yeah.
and I don't
It's
think for
unfortunate.
yeah
Hmm.
and it's just this was kind of a rough one. Not the roughest we've ever been done on this podcast, but it's probably top 15.
Yeah. I mean, it's always, I mean, any murder of some innocent person is sad. I mean,
Yeah.
no doubt. But, yeah, this is exceptionally tragic that these
Yeah.
two women were led into
Well,
this. And
definitely check out episode 75, The Slave Master, because that guy was, like, Zelich was a fucking Mr. Handcuffs. He was a fucking rookie compared to um, John Robinson.
this makes 50 Shades of Grey look like child's play. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Did you read that somewhere, or did you just come up with that off the top of your head? Please tell me you
No, I
came up
just
with
said
that.
it.
Nice.
I tried to read 50 Shades. I really did. I tried to give it a chance.
Well, if 50 Shades of Grey had been had taken place in the trailer park, it wouldn't, it would have, there would have been a criminal investigation.
Yeah, you need a billionaire to make it palatable. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But again, I digress.
Yeah. Hashtag, but I digress. I'll tell you what that hashtag thing means when we wrap up. But and we're gonna wrap up right now because great
Okay.
episode, great episode. You are doing awesome. I freaking love you. I think our listeners gonna love you too. So thank you for for coming on to the show as the co-host.
You're welcome.
Anyway, um, like, subscribe, share, comment, um,
All the things.
all the things. And God, Paul was great at doing that shit. I'm not. But yeah,
Smash
anyway,
that subscribe button.
yeah. And if you like us, tell a friend. If you hate us, tell a foe. And until next week, later.
Bye bye.